Conrad, est-ce que tu peux te présenter?
Hi, my name is Conrad Colman and I'm from New Zealand and this will be my second participation in the Vendée Globe.
Est-ce que tu peux nous expliquer comment un néo-zélandais découvre le Vendée Globe?
For a Kiwi, the Vendée Globe was an enigma because I grew up in Auckland and the race around the world that I had exposure to as a young child was the Whitbread. And so this is the fully crewed race around the world with stops, and every 3 or 4 years this crazy fleet of sort of bearded hooligans on brightly colored boats would come roaring into the city. And as a young kid growing up, that was just amazing, particularly because Kiwis were at the forefront of this fleet. We often won the race, or at least were our national heroes were sort of in the front of the fleet fighting for the win. And I found that to be incredibly inspiring. Here in France, you had other national heroes that inspired the nation to go more down the solo route, but that I discovered later. And almost sort of by default, because I moved to America. I did my studies both in high school and university in America. While I was a university student, I was competing at a very high level nationally as a ranked mountain biker. I had started my own bike company. I was running the school club for organizing the team for the cycling team, and obviously doing well in my studies. And when it came time for me to finish my university degree, I realized that I'd built up this toolbox of being a high-performance endurance athlete, being a technician, being a business owner and leader, and being relatively good at communicating and selling a story. And I realized that while I had been watching the Vendée Globe since Alan MacArthur in 2000, and then closely watched the edition in 2004, but had never really imagined myself as being able to do this. And then it finally sort of dawned on me, hey, you know, to be a skipper is to be an athlete, a technician, a salesperson, a business manager. And I was like, I have this toolkit, I can apply it here, let's go. So I sold my company. I turned down job offers when I left school. I sold everything that I had, and I went to Europe with a waterproof backpack and a dream. And that dream was a 10-year goal that took me from the beginning of 2007 all the way through to the end of the Vendée Globe in 2017. And so I achieved my 10-year plan, and that was incredible.
Et alors raconte-nous ta découverte de la voile, pour le coup.
Well, to be fair, I was born into a sailing family. My parents were in the process of sailing around the world when I was born, and 3 weeks after I was born in New Zealand, we were back on the boat in Bali and continued the family voyage through the South Pacific. This adventure became a misadventure and was cut short when my father was killed in an accident on the boat, and my mother brought me back to New Zealand to grow up, and astonishingly still grow up around the sea. This was something that was a critical element to our family, and even though it had been tinged or touched by incredible sadness and loss, I was still able to enjoy the sea and boats and all of the adventures that were contained within that. So I grew up with holidays on the water, with winters preparing my Optimist with love before putting it out onto the sea in the new season. But I kind of tired of it as a young child and moved on to other things. And it was only when I committed myself to the goal of doing the Vendée Globe that I rediscovered the sea. So it was a means to an end.
Raconte-nous, tu l'as évoqué, mais quelles sont les premières images et ce qui t'a marqué dans les premières éditions du Vendée Globe? Qu'est-ce qui arrive jusqu'à toi? Il y a Hélène MacArthur, tu l'as dit, mais est-ce qu'il y a d'autres éléments que toi tu as retenus qui t'ont marqué quand tu as découvert ensuite l'histoire du Vendée Globe? Est-ce que tu peux nous donner comme ça 2-3 éléments qui sont marquants pour toi?
Yeah. The Vendée Globe came into my life as this sort of crazy foreign contraption, this circus from afar, because I first learned about the Vendée Globe with the 1996 edition, which was the famous or infamously troubled and stormy edition where most of the fleet was knocked out. There were boats strewn through the Southern Ocean, flipped upside down, left, abandoned. There were rescues from the Australian Navy that went down to go and pick up Raphael Dinelli and Tony Bullimore. And so it was this astonishing thing that here were these foreigners that sort of came down to the Southern Ocean and got into trouble, and New Zealanders and Australians had to go and rescue them. So that was the first time that I really heard about the Vendée Globe, which is not the best introduction. And then Ellen MacArthur did an incredible thing by bringing the Vendée Globe in a more positive way into the English-speaking world, which was new to most of us. And so it was through her that we were able to gain entry into the story of the Vendée Globe as a pursuit of personal endurance, as a high-performance sporting event, and critically as something that was accessible to the non-French-speaking world. And then from there, having opened that door, then I dived right in, because I was a sucker for these kind of stories. And I followed closely the 2004 edition with the incredible battle back up the Atlantic to decide the winner. And that's what sort of cracked open the door to this possibility of me going, maybe I could come and do this too.
Et alors, après ton arrivée en Europe, ta découverte en vrai, la première fois, c'est quand tu seras bénévole auprès d'un concurrent. Est-ce que tu peux nous raconter ça?
Yeah, so the Vendée Globe is intimately woven with my presence here in France. Firstly, because I came here to do the Vendée Globe, and secondly, because almost my first steps upon the French territory were in Les Sables d'Olonne in the weeks before the start of the 2008 Vendée Globe. And so I thought, wow, this is crazy. This is what France is all the time. There are hundreds of thousands of people running around in sailing jackets. There's so much enthusiasm for sailing. This place is the place for me. It reminded me of what I had experienced with the excitement and the effervescence of the race village for the Whitbread in Auckland back in the 1990s when I was growing up. And I knew nothing. I knew nothing about anything. I was getting newly introduced to sailing in boats. I came and worked as a volunteer for Steve White, who was in desperate need of help and preparation for his race. And so my first couple of weeks in France were here in Les Sables d'Olonne. And that's when I fell in love both with the nation, with the event, and indeed with the town, because it was this incredible opportunity to arrive, to start to learn to speak French, and to learn my future trade.
Alors on fait un saut dans le temps, mais quelques années après, finalement pas si loin, tu vas te retrouver à la tête de ton projet, de ton bateau, avec un peu d'expérience, avec déjà des tours du monde au compteur. Pour toi, enfin, eh bien, descendre ce chenal des sables pour aller courir ton premier Vendée Globe. Alors, raconte-nous ce début de course, et puis après, on va raconter la course et les péripéties qui t'arrivent pendant cette course.
Yeah, so the Channel is something special for everybody who does the Vendée Globe. It's like the cover of the book. You open this up, and then you get to read the adventure that's inside. But first, you get to look at the cover. You get to enjoy all of that, and so that's what the Channel is for us. And that book cover, if you will, is incredible. It's intense. It's exciting because it's hundreds of thousands of people that are there to welcome you, to congratulate you, and you kind of need to put things in perspective, because getting to the start of the Vendée Globe is an incredible adventure, and it's something that I worked for tirelessly for years and years and years and years of my life. And so the amount of energy and enthusiasm that we get for going down the channel in Les Sables d'Olonne is almost a recognition of the work that we did to get just the start line. And then if we're so lucky as to finish, then what we receive back from the public when we arrive is congratulations and recognition for what we have achieved in the last 2.5, 3 months. But the energy that we take with us is almost appreciation for all of the work done in the shadows just to get to that point.
Et alors, dans cette édition, tu vas goûter à tout ce que le Vendée Globe peut offrir de très beau, mais aussi de très dur. Et physiquement, ça va te marquer, évidemment. Alors, premier épisode, c'est l'incendie de tes batteries.
That's right. I don't think anybody has ever had an easy Vendée Globe. I don't pretend to imagine that exists for anybody. But my participation in the Vendée Globe 2016 was particularly difficult, and that is because I had an old boat that was not particularly ready when I left, and I paid for that all the way along. And one component was a charge controller for my battery system that in the middle of the South Atlantic, when I was cruising along at full speed a couple of weeks into the race, got overexcited by a nice sunny day when lots of power was coming in from the solar panels, and it blew up and started burning. And I ran around the boat, secured the fire blanket, put out the fire, and because they were live electrical cables that had caught fire, when the plastic insulation had burned off in the fire, I was then putting out the fire with my bare hands and being electrocuted at the same time. And then with my hands sort of in this perilous situation, the boat short-circuited, the autopilot let go, and we went into an uncontrolled jibe with full main, full Janica in about 30 knots of wind, and my life very, very quickly became super, super, super complicated because the boat essentially capsized. And so it went with the mast in the water, and I had to extricate myself from putting out the fire inside the boat to then going outside and trying to understand how I could furl the sails with the boat completely up, almost upside down, how I could maintain my safety, and how I could safely get the boat upright and back into the race. And sadly, I had many other misadventures along the way. Most notably, the forestay disconnected in the middle of the Southern Ocean, in the middle of the Pacific, when I had 60 knots of wind and a huge storm, and I very almost lost the mast at that point as well. And then finally did lose the mast just 2 days before the end of the race. But it was quite astonishing just how hard I was fighting on a day-by-day basis just to keep the boat alive and me in the race. But it was certainly marked by these 3 incidents: the fire, the forestay, and then the dismasting.
Mais tu y arrives. Alors raconte-nous cette joie, j'imagine, ce sentiment quand tu arrives au bout de ce chemin de croix au sable, avec un mât cassé, tu l'as dit, après être tombé à l'eau, être brûlé. Enfin, c'était vraiment ouais, c'est ça, vraiment un exercice. Et pourtant, rapidement, tu vas avoir envie d'y retourner. Explique-nous cette dualité de sentiments.
Yeah, so arriving in Les Sables d'Olonne was one of the most incredible days of my life. And that was because I had had this incredible challenge all the way through the course of the race. And I was thinking about Les Sables d'Olonne and that finish line every day, and that was what was nourishing me. Just as my fixation upon the start line had carried me for 10 years in my transition from America to France and my transition into an ocean racing sailor, it was the finish line of that Vendée that drove me through the race. And yeah, arriving there with no mast, under jury rig, very, very hungry because I'd run out of food with all of my delays, looking skinny, but yeah, excited. So excited and so relieved and so proud of all that I had achieved during the course of that race and in the preceding 10 years that had brought me there. And I remember it now. I can see it. You know, the sunny day, and so it was this sort of powerful moment where, you know, the sky is clear. There was this beautiful sunny day. There were, I think, 10 or 12,000 people that were there just for me, to welcome me, and to have this recognition that people had been following this this crazy adventure that I thought that I had been on by myself, and yet this story with incredible challenges had touched so many people, and that they had come from close, from far, to be there and share that moment with me was incredibly touching, and that's what makes it so special. Ultimately, we say that it's a solo adventure, but we are carried by those that we leave behind and those that we meet along the way.
Alors, tu vas vouloir repartir. Il va falloir attendre 8 ans. On y est, ça y est. Raconte-nous un peu ta préparation qui a encore été compliquée, même si tu as changé de bateau. Sportivement, tu as franchi des paliers au cours de ces 8 ans en ayant navigué ailleurs et en ayant forcément un projet beaucoup plus sportif que tu ne l'avais alors. Néanmoins, tu restes quand même dans une préparation qu'on ne peut pas qualifier d'optimale, parce que c'est vrai que c'est la course en permanence. J'ai souvenir au printemps, ton arrivée in extremis à New York pour participer dès le lendemain à la course. Voilà, j'ai l'impression que c'est une course permanente pour toi finalement.
Je confirme, mais rides aussi. Yeah, so I'm really excited to get stuck into this edition because I'm in a much better place than I ever have been in my career, and that it's really exciting to be able to start the race with a boat that I know well, that I've been sailing for 3 years. I've just placed the order for the new sails with One Sails, and so I'm excited to finally, almost for the first time in my career, to have a boat that is well prepared with a new set of sails and the ability to play in my fleet. And yet it has not been easy. I missed the last edition due to my project falling apart with COVID, and then kind of missed the boat on this last 4-year cycle. That I got the boat late in 2021, and with some incredible investors, and we created this huge entrepreneurial project to buy the boat, to go look for sponsors. But the last 3 years have been very intense. I've been running so hard, and I feel very tired. To get the boat in a reliable position, to find the partners that I need, to get ready myself. And I think that we have certainly one of the smallest budgets in the fleet and one of the smallest teams, and that means that I have carried a lot of the weight of the team myself. You know, that we sanded the boat completely to carbon. I contributed to that. We laid new sheets of carbon fiber. I did that along with the team. And so it means both that in contributing so intensely to the preparation of the boat, I haven't slept a great deal, and I'm certainly marked by that experience. But equally, I know the boat intimately, and the Vendée Globe is a race of incredible endurance, both for man and machine. And so I know the boat incredibly well, and I feel confident in my ability to repair it as the race goes on, and all of the systems on board. And I think that will give me a critical advantage because I can keep the boat up at close to 100% all the time.
Est-ce que tu peux nous raconter l'histoire de ce bateau, parce que c'est le bateau de Quito, groupe Bell, qui t'avait fait de l'œil dans le bassin de Port-Olona et que tu as réussi à racheter. Alors, il a eu plein de vies, c'est pas la peine de nous détailler toutes ses vies, mais il y a une belle histoire, une boucle bouclée là aussi.
Oui. But it's funny, the boat that I have almost represents me really well because we're two kind of old warriors with some scars. It's a beautiful boat, one of the most beautiful boats in the fleet, I think, penned by Guillaume Verdier and the team at VPLP. And it's, I still admire it. I think it's a beautiful boat, even though it's one of the oldest ones in the fleet now. And it too has had its share of adventures. With Quito, it had some misadventures with Toma. It broke in half in New Zealand and was repaired. And these past 3 years have been little by little making the boat stronger and more reliable and ultimately faster. And so I see sort of our progression both as man and machine, as skipper and support, as growing stronger and is growing together during these years. And now I'm excited to see what our union is capable to bring out on the waves.
Raconte-nous le match que vous allez vous livrer, les dériveurs, cette espèce de deuxième championnat qui a animé toutes les courses de préparation. Comment tu te situes dans cette flotte et qu'est-ce que tu attends? Qu'est-ce que serait un Vendée Globe réussi pour toi?
One of the unique aspects of our sport is that these incredible machines that we have a really long life. And so I'm racing in 2024 on a boat that was built in 2007, and this was a big sort of graduating class in the 4-year cycle of the Class40 Cup. There are lots of boats built in this generation. Lots of them are still present in the fleet, and we've been doing our best to sort of knock the stuffing out of each other during the course of these last few years. And so we've really got a fleet within a fleet now that foils are both very definitely the present and future technology of the class. One might say that we've been left behind a little bit, and certainly in speed on the water, that is true. However, I love the fact that we still have in the Class40 these several generations that are still present, and I think that is good for the class in the long term because it allows a sort of an easier way of getting into the fleet, into the Vendée Globe, and that from the get-go you don't need to have multiple millions per year to spend. So first of all, I think it makes the fleet more durable, more resistant in the long term. And critically is it gives a different profile of skipper for the public to follow. And also, critically, a great race within the race because we have a different way of sailing than the foilers. We have different choices in the way that we've prepared the boats, and that manifests itself in the way that we sail them on the water as well. Often we've got a little bit more time to tell stories along the way and sort of be more open and approachable, and yet the fight is going to be fierce within our fleet. We are not there to go cruising. We are not there just for the adventure. So do not confuse old boat with Bob Marley, playing on the speakers all the time. This is not the attitude that we're bringing to this fight. It is going to be cutthroat. And this is what we have seen in the preceding races, that I'm thankful to have been able to pull out some really good performances on the water and to be largely present at the front of the Daggerboard fleet as I've been able to bring various levels of upgrades into my boat. And so I'm really excited to show the full potential both of myself and of my boat now that I finally have new sails and the boat is as I wanted it to be. And so the ambition is to fight not for miles but for meters all the way around the world. This is my approach, and my goal is to be in the podium of the Daggerboards at the end. what remains to be seen is how the two new boats in the Daggerboards sort of fit within that, whether they're fully reliable, how much faster they are, whether there's a way that we can beat them with strategy and tactics rather than pure boat speed. And then amongst the boats of my generation, and then it's going to be an incredible battle. Then we've got Violette with an incredibly optimized boat from Jean Le Cam, which we saw at the start of the New York Vendée this year. Violette started behind everybody and yet went completely all the way through the fleet and led the fleet after a couple of hours. And so clearly this boat is incredible. And then we've got Tanguy Le Turquet on Lazare, who is an incredible talent on a very, very fast and optimized boat, and amongst many others. And so I'm going to be excited to see who the competition is, and we're going to drive each other all the way around the world.
Merci beaucoup.